Hey, what's going on, everyone? Austin Distal here with Darby Rollins. We are going to be talking about how to write a book in 7 days with Jarvis, the AI copywriting assistant. Now, as we get started, I'm going to show the chat here on the right-hand side. Give me a hello, and let me know where you are from around the world. This is the first time that we're using this software called Restream, but it's pretty cool, I think. And so, let us know how we can improve this in the future. But I'm excited about this. Who is already an author, and maybe you're looking at writing your second book? Let us know in the chat. And if you are a first-time author or going to be a first-time author, let us know that too. So I want to introduce Darby Rollins here. So Darby is a fellow Austinite. He is a really good friend of mine as well, and has actually helped me write my book. So I'm kind of a case study in this, where this crazy idea when we launched Jarvis back in January. Darby was like, "Dude, I think this could write a book," and he ended up doing it for himself in 7 days. He wrote, Darby, do you have your book on you?
Yeah, let me grab it.
Yeah, it's Amazon Copywriting Secrets, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So Darby has a copywriting business where he helps Amazon listings get ranked. And so he's been using his book to build his authority. How's that worked out for you?
It's been great. Just for getting this stuff out of the head alone and just that brain dump onto paper and finally getting all that stuff out was worth it, in my opinion. But it's absolutely paid itself off in the form of my, new clients and the level of clients that I'm attracting now. So
Yeah, it's so cool, man. And so I think with all great products, it begins with solving the problem for yourself. And then once you kind of figure out a system, you can do it for someone else, which you helped me do. And now today, how many people have gone through the 7 day challenge and helped write a book in 7 days with Jarvis?
I mean, over the last few months, it's in the hundreds now of people that have gone through and at least started the process with Jarvis and made some really, really great strides just in those 7 day sprints as we host them. We host them monthly, and that container of 7 days, it's pretty crazy how much you can get accomplished when you just put your head down and focus on one goal over a 7 day period. And so out of it, I mean, I don't have an exact number, but it's every week I'm seeing new books getting published that started in the challenge that are coming out of it. And Jarvis is a huge, huge, asset to thank for that.
In the chat, I'm going to put a message. It is, if you go to jarvis.ai/examples/books, you can actually see all of the authors that I've seen so far. I'm sure there's more now since I've updated the site, that have published their books on Amazon, and they're getting readers. And they went through the 7 day challenge. So it's really cool. This is producing a lot of results. It's for all different industries. So Darby, who is this training going to be best for?
Yeah, so this training is going to be best for the business owner, entrepreneur, who has a book inside their head that they have had sitting in there for a while, and they know that they've got that story inside. They want to help get it out. And the use cases that we see our framework in this challenge directly applying to that has the most success are nonfiction books that solve a very specific problem for a very, very specific person. And the author is guiding their potential clients, customers through this journey and helping them overcome these obstacles so that at the end of the book, or even in the introduction of the book, the person knows that this is the person that can really help me solve a problem rather than just learning it, actually having me apply the problem, and the book turning into business, speaking on more stages, getting in front of new audiences, and really, sharing your message and opening doors that might not have opened before had the book not been written.
Yep, I think that's a great description of who the right person to write a book in this challenge is. when I wrote this book, Subscription Secrets, people are probably going to ask, like, how much is written with the AI? How much is written, with my own ideas? I kind of think about it like this. So it's about 70% written with my ideas and 30 to 40% written with Jarvis, filling in those ideas with stories and with more structure and all of that, which is allowing me to move so much faster. And Darby, what I've come to find going through your program is that the getting a lot of the work done up front in just an outline helps you move so fast with Jarvis. And so I think it's a perfect collaboration and use case there. We're going to be sharing recipes that you can actually download right into your Jarvis account, which is going to be really cool. So we'll share that in a bit. But personally, I just want to share why I wrote my book and what it's done for me. And so maybe you guys can have a little vision of what can happen. I've gotten consulting clients out of it. So the book is all about how to build a subscription company. And this is, I've created multiple subscription companies over the last 10 years. And so it's very much about how did I just extract the ideas out of my brain and put it into here. It's basically a lot of my journal entries over the last, 5 years of documenting the journeys and like the lessons learned. And going through Y Combinator and all of that stuff, like I put it into my journal, and then Darby helped me extract that and put it into a book, into a series that's readable. Now, what did that do for me? Well, it allowed me to, one, have something I can actually have a legacy with, pass down to my children, hand over as a free gift to clients. It allowed me to have an asset that I can distribute. Secondly, it allowed me to get new audiences. So people are actually finding me when they type in, how to start a subscription company, and Google shows this book at the top on Amazon, and people go and buy that book. And then throughout the book, there are links to my site and emails, to reach out to, and then they can begin the process of working with me. So, if you want to build business, if you want to build credibility, authority, if you want to extend your reach, or one of the most important parts for me was, how do I just get a system out there that creates my content calendar? And so this is actually structured in a way that is really good for outlining your podcast, outlining your blog, outlining your social media content calendar, because you can just pull directly little tiny paragraphs or parts of your chapters into bite-sized pieces and spread that out throughout the year. And it always then goes back and references your book. So these are all different ways that we can talk about today. But I'm going to hand the stage over now to Darby. He's actually put together a really cool training for y'all. Darby, you want to talk about what the training is going to be about?
Yeah, absolutely. So going into this process, starting it with Jarvis back in January to where we are now, we've learned a lot. And that's because we've been running these challenges and hosting these live challenges and coaching people and helping them implement Jarvis inside of this process, alongside my partner, Zachariah Stratford, who has helped at his company, The Book Patch, publish over 70,000 titles in the last decade. So what I came to realize, there's a lot more that goes into publishing books than simply just getting the book out of your head. And the thing that holds most people back, from my personal experience of what I see, is just getting over the hump of writing the outline in the first place. And that's where Jarvis had the biggest breakthrough moment with me, and what we see and why this recipe that we're going to walk through today is so important. But before we even get to writing the recipe, what I'm going to talk to before we get to that point is, how do you set yourself up for success in the beginning? How do you lay the foundation, right? How do you get over maybe what might be a limiting belief that the book is going to take months or years to write? When in fact, with Jarvis and the system that we use, you can get the book out of your head sometimes in a week or less. And something that a lot of people that are coming into this challenge for is that I'm an expert. I need to position myself as an expert. Well, this book is a perfect way to build that cornerstone into your position on the market, so that people really do see you as that go-to expert. And really at the end of the day, done is better than perfect. And now with all the tools available to us in self-publishing, The goal of this book is to get what we're calling a minimum viable book, similar to what you might say is a minimum viable product, right? How do you get that first book that you can print, that you can hold in your hand, and that you can give to people who are going to be your ideal readers, that you know that you could solve a problem for them, and that you know you can pass down, and you can always come back and make additions to it later. So what I'm going to talk about leading into this is kind of the prerequisites of what we teach and help people go through inside of the challenge before you even activate Jarvis and even activate boss mode. Because if you skip these steps, which I'm going to list out here right now for you, you're going to set yourself up for a potential large amount of headache down the road when you hit that roadblock, when you get stuck, which likely will happen. You can have a good reference point and a good foundation to go back to. And so when anybody that comes into this challenge, and what we do even before we start building the outline, is we figure out 4 core things. One is, what is your why? Why are you writing this book, and why will people care? 2 is, who is the ideal person that you want to reach here? Is it someone close? Is it a perfect client or customer that you want to attract to your business? Is it simply one person who needs to hear this message, and this book can help them solve a major life problem and help them accomplish that goal, and build a lot of goodwill and trust with you along the way? The 3rd is your goals. What are the goals with your book? Like I said, is it one book that you want to sell? Is it 100? Is it 1,000? Do you want to sell a New York Times bestseller? Do you want to just launch an Amazon bestseller? Do you want this book to be that roadmap for getting your podcast, your content strategy out? Do you want to tie it in with your coaching offer? Understanding these goals at the beginning is so critical for where you want to go with the book, so that you stay crystal clear and focused on that. And lastly is the spine. Once we know the goals, the why, the who that we're talking to, we want to build that intro. And that's where Jarvis and the recipe is going to really start to kick in. The spine. You want to have the perfect introduction to hook your reader in, to show them that this book is for them. You want to get your outline airtight so that it's a matter of, I know exactly the steps that I'm going to be covering in this book. You want to have a conclusion that wraps things up for your readers. And then you want to call to action. You want to invite people in to whatever product, service, community you're building, whatever that might be. You want to give people a way to reach out for you. And Austin's a great example of having his book on Amazon, but people are finding him through Google, going to Amazon, buying his book, and then reaching out to him to discuss consulting, his other products and services. So I have a really fancy, really fancy, drawing artistry that I want to show with you guys. If Austin, you can allow me to share my screen. I don't know if you can see it. Cool, perfect. And so when we're getting to the point of understanding like how we're going to jump in, and we will jump into Jarvis and using boss mode here once we do this. But what I want to illustrate to you guys here is that as the author of your book, and as the guide that is helping your readers along the way, you are mapping their path to success. And writing the book is dependent. Having your customers and your readers go through this book and finding success with it, knowing how to read it, is critical that you do the beginning part of the steps that we just did: your why, your goals, your how, your spine. Let me get my ring over here. And, again, like the things that are stopping most people from writing a book in the first place, like I said, are, that writer's block, that getting started, getting that outline. And so the way I see it, it can be illustrated in 2 types of ways. We've got 2 islands here. One island is Hell Island, which is going to be right here. And then one island is going to be Heaven Island right here. And Heaven Island is going to have palm trees on it. It's going to be great. It might look kind of like Maui, which we may or may not see some of you guys here in September. But we're stuck on Hell Island right here if we want to write a book and we want to get out of your head. And I'm going to just take myself, for example. Having a book inside of my head for so long and not knowing what to do was really frustrating. And I had objections that I had to get over to get that book done. But for this example, I'm going to use this guy named Pat right here. Pat is this fancy little stick figure. He's chilling here on Hell Island, and he's on Hell Island because his hair is on fire, right? Pat has his hair on fire problem that he wants to write a book, but he doesn't know how. Pat's book is going to be right over here, over in Heaven Island, But the problem with Pat getting all the way over here to writing his book with the Heaven Island, and why it's probably stopped him for years from writing a book in the first place, is because there's a bunch of sharks in the water. And the sharks are all the things that people impose on themselves, such as it's going to take forever, it's going to take years. Like, I'm not even an expert. Who would even listen to me? Like, it's, oh, I got to be perfect. This book is just going to slow me down again and again and again. But the fact of the matter is, these are all very understandable objections and reasons that are stopping Pat from becoming a published author. But with what we're going to do here, and the reason why it's so important to lay that foundation is because Pat sees this boat right here, right? This fancy little sailboat that's going to sail him all the way over and cross these treacherous waters to get to his Heaven Island, right? He's got a nice little table over here. It's got chips and guac. Pat is going to be super excited to get over here when he gets there. And he just needs to get on this boat, and he needs this boat to help sail him to success. But you're not going to get in a boat, or you shouldn't get in a boat and set sail if the boat has leaks in it. If you have a broken compass, then there's a good chance that your boat is never going to make it over here to the other side. This over here is being a published author, right? How do you set yourself up for success? Well, first, you make sure your boat doesn't have any leaks in it, right? So that's why you start with your why. That's why you start with your who. That's why you start with your goals and your outline and your spine, because at the end of the day, we all have the same amount of time in the day. We're all going to die someday. And what we do with the time given to us is up to us, and how well prepared we are with the time that is given to us, and how focused we are, and where we're putting our attention leading up to that time is so critical. And if you understand where you're going from the start, and you begin with that end in mind, you're not going to fill your boat with a bunch of holes and set sail and surely set yourself up for failure. Rather, if you think through all of these things, and this is like why we like teach this stuff so heavily inside of the 7-day challenge, is if you're really solid and really clear on the direction, if your compass is pointing true north and you know where you're going to be heading, your ship can sail extremely fast with Jarvis, by your side, helping you smash through that writer's block whenever you hit any kind of level of like, oh man, I just don't know what angle to go at here. Like, I'm running out of story ideas, or I just need help getting the outline built. Whatever the case may be, right? It often not is what we call someone said this the other day, it was like the curse of the blinking cursor, staring at that blank screen and just saying, this is too much. I've got too much else to do. I'm busy. I got a business to run. I know this book needs to get written. I don't even know where to start, right? That's where Jarvis comes in. But that's why we start after the why, who, goals, and doing the outline. Now, assuming you got your why done, right?
Hey,
And
Darby, real quick,
yeah,
I want to ask the audience, like, who is this? Has this resonated with any of y'all that like one of these limiting beliefs that you believe that it would take too much time, or that you're not an expert yet, or that it has to be perfect if you're going to publish a book? Any of these things that Darby has said kind of resonate with you that you told yourself already, but later Darby will help you overcome? Looks like let's see. I see. Yes. And then this person said, I've said that to all of them. I'll tell you what, for me personally, was that I felt like it had to be perfect if I were to start it. And here's the beauty of the way books are written nowadays, is that you can actually have multiple versions of your book. And so that's why I actually put a little sticker on mine that says first edition. And the beauty of Amazon and the way that books are written nowadays is that they're print on demand. And so you can actually go in and update chapters and add new content whenever you want. All you have to do is re-upload the Google document, and it will print the next ordered book, will print the new one, the new version. And so that's so cool. In my opinion, I think that like that was the biggest thing for me, is, Darby, when you taught me that, it clicked that this is actually always a work in progress. Like, imagine that you wouldn't start a podcast unless you had, like, the stars, all of the stars already published at the same time. You had Joe Rogan and Elon Musk and all these people on your own podcast. You would never get started. And so here's the beauty of it nowadays is that you can actually go chapter by chapter and publish it. You could even make that kind of part of your business if you wanted. And you could have Jarvis update and write and rewrite content as you learn as well. So especially in nonfiction, you can go in and update with industry trends and how that's changing.
Absolutely. And that's something we see as well, is that people might come into this challenge with this idea of this tomb of a book that's going to distill all of their knowledge down in these pages that are just going to be kept through the sands of time on for history forever and ever. And it's a 50,000 word, you know, massive like chunk of work. Whereas, chances are your perfect customer like out there, and the person that needs to read the book doesn't have time to read a 50,000 word novel that you're going to be putting out for them. They have a problem. Like I drew like Pat with his hair on fire. Like, no one wants to, if you're going to give birth, you don't want it to take 12 months. You want to get it over with as fast as possible. Your book needs to map out how you can solve and help people solve that problem as fast as possible, because the faster you can help your readers get a result, the faster you will, get the reciprocation of all the good that you're putting out there in the form of a book. And the faster you can test whether or not people even like are resonating with what you're saying, right? It's easy for people to sit and think on an idea forever and never act upon it. And the sad fact is that over 90% of people that even start writing books, they just never even get to the point of clicking publish. They're perfecting it. They're chewing a new chapter. It's collecting dust in their Google Drive. And it just never gets to the point of clicking published. But I remember when I was going through that first weekend, I probably said it 50 million times. And the time that I wanted to be a published author, I wanted to have the title. I wanted to have a book in my hand. I wanted to hold it, and I wanted to get the stuff out of my head and onto paper. And without Jarvis, I can guarantee you, I would still be twiddling my thumbs, trying to figure out how to write a solid blog post at that much. But the great thing about having a book that you can send to people is it literally is a worldwide distribution, like at your fingertips. It's putting a message into the hands of people who are raising their hand. They're opting in to hear more about what you have to say. And if you can deliver on what that promise is that you're making for them, like, I can guarantee you that it's going to pay itself off in some way, shape, or form, whether or not it turns into a big ticket coaching client for you, whether or not it puts you in front of a bunch of new audiences on Zoom calls, that you're getting new stages, virtual or in person, whatever the currency is that you're looking at here. Like, think about that before you even start writing. Like, what do you want out of this book, and who's going to be reading it, and how can you help them solve that problem? The clearer that you can define it, and just the fact that you can click published and people go like, wow, this person can actually finish what they started, says a lot, right? It's why that's why having the title of author, it has such weight behind it, because like everyone can say they want to write a book. The sad fact is most people won't. And the beauty of Jarvis and just the framework that we're showing you guys here, it's like, we're building a book. We have all the Legos at our fingertips. How do we build this thing so that, we can take it, we can use it, and we can repurpose the content for years down the road, and really use this as a marketing asset that you can leverage for yourself and your business for as long as you want.
I love it, man. Well, let's give them the meat of the training that they're looking for here.
Yes.
And I will be in the background chatting with y'all. So if you have any questions, I will pause Darby and put it here on the screen. It says Facebook user like this because this is probably from the Facebook group, which is a private group. And so it doesn't allow to show the real person. But go ahead, Darby, take it away. This is your show. Tell us what you got.
All right. So I'm going to kind of dive into it, Austin. If you could actually show my other screen here. Again, I'm going to open up the nonfiction book intro and outline recipe that we shared with you all guys all today. So I spent a good part of last week kind of taking essentially this framework that we've been formulating inside of the 7-day book challenge over the past 6-7 months. We've been talking with best-selling authors, marketers who know how to sell books, not just write books, actually sell books. And what is the formula for what is a good book? Like, why are these nonfiction books like the 4-Hour Work Week or Rich Dad Poor Dad and the timeless books that like we go back to again and again and have sold so well? Like, why does that happen? And Austin, you were a great example of like the research that went into this at the beginning when we were writing your book. We were, diving in and really just picking apart all of these different books and like what makes these books and the introduction more specifically, like why are they written like this? And then when it comes to the outline, we teach the problem solving method, right? It's nonfiction books. You're solving a problem. How do you walk someone from point A to point Z so that they walk away from that book, walk away from each chapter with actionable steps that they can get value from? And then again, it leads back into whatever you want. So you guys can all have access to this recipe. And there's the link here that you guys can all access it, jarvis.ai/books-recipe. You can download this into your account and you can run it. And so what I'm going to do before I click run, or what I'm going to do is I'm going to click run and I'm going to walk through. But before I do that,
By
at
the
the
way, this
bottom
is
of,
our newest feature.
yeah,
It's
news,
really cool. It's gonna
it,
save you so much time. What
yeah,
this allows you to do is create a set of instructions that you tell Jarvis, and then that import, you can share that, and you can reuse it for your team, and you can create your own as well. So you'll be able to say, "Hey, Jarvis, write this, then write this, then write this, then write this." And it works so well. And you have to
mhm.
be on a pro or a boss mode plan for this to work really well for you. But Jarvis, Darby, why don't you show us how Jarvis works?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I included this 30-minute training here from when I walked through this this build out initially on how to use it, but I'm going to walk it through again right now. And when you get this into your pro or boss mode account, which I highly recommend everybody upgrade to if you're thinking about writing a book and want to tap into Jarvis, you know, just do it. Um, Click run, and what it's going to do is it's going to open up this recipe inside of your account. It's going to download this recipe, which is the exact framework that we use to help kickstart people started. So the only caveat here is that you come into this knowing your who and knowing your topic and having a clear idea of what you want to get out of this, because then that's why we do all of this work before we start writing in the first place. And so when you download this into Jarvis, what we've got here is a few commands. And this is kind of the way that Legend works with this. There's some commands that you can tell Jarvis, and in this case, I'm telling myself, what is it? What's the concept? What's the idea? Right. And then we've got this is what I use to fill out the content brief. Now, the reason why the content brief is so important is because you're helping direct Jarvis for what you're going to be talking about. And as we go through this process and building out a book, and I'm going to use, let's just use the Amazon copywriting as an example of what I might say here. We want to fill out the content brief to talk about the specific parts. And each of these commands, as we're going down here, this is what you can give Jarvis, right? Write a list of book titles based on the concept, topic, or idea you want to relate to the reader, right? If I want to write a list of book titles based on how to sell more products on Amazon, I would tell Jarvis that's what I want to do. And so the same goes for each section of this recipe. And while the recipe is laid out here, it's the format and the structure and the flow of it that's really important. Because when we get to the title, we go to the subtitle, we can write the book description, and then we can hook our readers into the book and, leading all the way down into chapter 1 about the problem you're solving, why it's important based on all of that criteria. And so I use a tool called Voice In. You can use any real dictation tool for typing stuff out. But I want to tell Jarvis before I get started giving it commands, what am I going to, like, what is he going to be talking about? What's he going to be referencing? And so I want to start by just answering these basic questions inside of 600 characters. So the concept that we're talking about in this book is how to sell more products on Amazon, period. This book is going to be found on the Amazon marketplace, and help online business owners learn how they can sell more products on Amazon. Period. This book is also for entrepreneurs and people that are looking to leverage the Amazon platform so that they can make more sales for their products that they're also selling off of Amazon. I'm going to pause right here because you see we're about 400 characters in, and then we have a when. Is there a time concept involved, and a how will this happen, right? Again, each one of these is going to be giving Jarvis a direction for what he's going to be referencing. And so this book is designed to be implemented after each chapter, period, and used as a reference point for when you get stuck. Again, a really brief, quick description of what I want to be talking about here. But again, if I'm using this as an example compared to where like I started with this process back in January, like this is taking it to the 10x of where we were at back then, because we didn't have boss mode at that point. So if I want to get started now and I say, cool, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I know. This is what I'm an expert on. Say, write a list of book titles based on how to sell more products on Amazon, right? We're taking this command, we're giving it the direction. It's going to reference that content brief, and I'm going to enter it. And now I'm brainstorming with Jarvis, right? Like this is the thing that kept me held up for so long, was just like I don't even know where to start. I don't even know, it's blank page, right? Control J, continue the process going here. I'm just brainstorming right now. I'm saying, hey, Jarvis, help me out here. Like if I want to get this rough draft out and I want to get to a point where I can come and start editing it, right? Like Jarvis is giving me a lot of good ideas here, and I can take these ideas and I can get inspiration from these ideas, and say like, hey, the ultimate e-commerce marketing blueprint, 101 plus steps by step guides for growing sales. And I might say like, this is actually a good idea for maybe a few tools. And I see some people asking about what the tool was I was using here. It's a tool called Voice In. And I do like using this tool just as I'm working with Jarvis. I could speak a lot faster than I can type on that point. So again, to give you an idea, that's how I would go about brainstorming just titles for a book that I'm thinking about like starting. And now we get back to the bottom. Give me a list of book subtitles based on how to sell more products on Amazon. And one thing you'll notice with Jarvis is some of these up here, can actually be used as subtitles as well, right? And so this is like rapid brainstorming, right? You can go and pay people to like do this thinking for you, or you can have Jarvis do it for yourself. And I guarantee you, if you ask any sort of credible copywriter out there to help like brainstorm book titles and things for you, it's going to cost more than your boss mode subscription. So like that alone,
Darby, do you think that you could zoom in just a little bit more for the recording?
Yeah, absolutely. Is that better? Can you guys see that better?
Maybe one more up.
Yeah.
There we go. Cool.
Cool.
Yeah. That way we can all read what Jarvis is writing.
Okay, cool. So yeah, again, we got the concept over here in the brief. This is where Jarvis is taking it from. We build that out with these prompts. These are more like human prompts, right? Like what is this concept? But then we also, translate those down to Jarvis. We're asking Jarvis, what kind of titles can I come here? How to find more profitable products to sell on Amazon. The complete guide to selling online, start and grow a successful e-commerce business, right? I'm like, okay, maybe I want to tweak that a little bit. Maybe it's a guide to selling on Amazon, start and grow a successful Amazon business, right? You can kind of brainstorm it. Take Jarvis is getting you kind of like 70, 80% of the way there with some of the stuff. Now it's your job to mold it into what you want it to do. And so if I'm Amazon Academy, so let's do this actually. This is taking Amazon, it's going to Shopify. What I want to do here is I'm just going to riff with it. I'm going to say, let's go Amazon Academy, the ultimate e-commerce Amazon marketing course. And I'm not selling you guys a course on Amazon. I promise you that. I don't even have a course to sell on Amazon. But this is a good example of like Amazon Academy, the ultimate Amazon marketing course, learn how to sell and make money fast, right? So like that right there could be a book, or it could just be an ebook, or it could just be an introduction to a course if you want, right? A lot of people are using a book as kind of the structure for what a course is, or they already have a course and they want to translate it down into a book, right? So I can guarantee you, if you guys are course creators or have courses that you've sold in the past, then you've got a lot of the content already out of your head. If you have a podcast that's on these type of subjects, you've got the content out there. It's time to organize it and put it into an easy to deliver fashion, which is why books are so awesome. So now we've got all of this information up here to brainstorm. Maybe we don't like it. Maybe this is going to give us ideas for the outline and what we want to, okay, I'll come back and kind of rehash things a little bit later if I don't like this brainstorm session, but I want to write the ultimate Amazon marketing course, right? Or marketing book. Let's do that. Learn how to sell. Yeah, we'll just go more products on Amazon. So it's right in line with what we're talking about in the content brief. And we say, now we could say like, cool, like if especially like inside of the challenge, what we teach is like, cool, get the title, get the subtitle, at least a rough version of it, and then write an introduction to the book. Like, why should people read the book based on what you're talking about? Write a summary of the book based on right here, based on this concept, right? So I'm going to take this and I'm going to ask Jarvis and say, cool, write me a book description based on this. The Amazon Academy is a book about how to sell more products on Amazon. To be found on the Amazon Marketplace, designed for entrepreneurs. Right here.
Damn, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and if you like this, guys, like if you don't like it, like cool, delete it and ask Jarvis to do it again. But for like obviously the sake of time, I want to kind of move through this process. This is a great. The reason I like having the book description as well and like pre-selling a book before you even write the entire thing is because you need to know that people are going to want to be buying this, right? And while you're building your outline, you might find that things change because of the feedback that you're getting. But what Jarvis is doing here is like, Jarvis, this book was created, after reading books, sell more products right here.
Hey, Darby. So,
Yeah.
Mind Bloom asked, is this how you do brainstorm mode, which is kind of like a Jarvis command, is what she's saying. So, yes, that is how you do it. You do command enter. You just kind of type. You give an instruction to Jarvis. Write whatever you want. You can say, write. I did this yesterday for my Instagram caption. I go, write me an Instagram caption about, and then I described the photo, and then I press command enter. And then it wrote out that again. And if I didn't like it that time, I can just do it again, run the command again, and see what Jarvis puts out a different time. And so these are different ways that you can use this, but really, like, there's no set of commands out there. Like, go out and try it, and you can describe it, give it more information to try and give it better direction. Because in boss mode, you're the boss. Jarvis is the employee, your assistant. And so you need to give Jarvis, your assistant, better instructions to get a better result. So really, I mean, it's an AI. It is, trying to figure out what you want it to do. And so you need to give it these instructions. And that's what Darby is doing. And that's how he's created this recipe, which is a series of repeatable instructions that you can download. If you go over to this link here, jarvis.ai/book-recipe, you can save this series of instructions to your account and then run it in the context of your own book.
Yeah, and again, I guys have fun with this, right? Like the way I view playing, like writing this stuff with Jarvis is like you're playing with Legos, right? The reason that these asterisks are here is so Jarvis doesn't read above it, and it's referencing the content brief and the title and the description here. Like, have fun with it, use it, and experiment with it, right? If you're struggling and it's not giving you the right things, all I did there for that last one was I said, hey, I wanted it to write me a call to action and say, actually, I'm thinking write me an AIDA call to action might make sense. So it's giving me this now. It's giving me the sales script that I can use to start having people buy into the book. and, finish up the book and the process, right? Because if you can't sell someone on buying your book in the first place, then what good is the content on the inside if you can't get them to the point where they even read it, right? And that's why the introduction is so critical. And when we're talking about the outline of a book and knowing why, like I really, really can't stress this enough, that your introduction should position you as the expert, as the right person at the right time to help your readers solve the problem that they're doing. And this is like essentially the framework that's used by the best-selling nonfiction books out there that helps hook people into it, right? And so we start with the hook, right? And say you want to hook someone into the story and like get their attention right out of the gate. This could be a shocking fact based on what you're talking about inside of the book. Like, write a shocking fact based on the history of selling on Amazon. Write a compelling story based on, let's just, like, for an example, it's like, what would hook somebody in to buy something, or not to buy something? Like why should someone even like believe that this story could make sense for them? Like, what's a compelling story based on how I got started selling on Amazon? And what Jarvis will kind of do is really, especially with like giving kind of ideas for like what might resonate with people, is like inside of this book and inside of what you're doing here, like stories are going to capture people and hold their attention and like relay, like, how do you actually learn this process, or how can other people relate to how this process came about, and then how do you lead into the core part of the chapters. So like you can ask Jarvis, hey, like, write me a story about how I got started selling on Amazon. And it's going to take up and fabricate a story essentially based on like what it's got over here. And, like Jarvis, again, it's going to get you a little bit of the way there. But now if you're going in a direction with Jarvis and you like it, you still like double check the work, right? Jarvis isn't your research assistant. Jarvis is going to be there to help push things forward and break through and give you some creativity.
Yeah, like a real world example of this is in my book. It's all about subscription. Of course, one of the biggest subscriptions is Netflix. And I wanted to share, the origin story of Netflix in the book, but one that had creative language, kind of like dramatic storytelling. I wanted it to be original content, so not just copied and pasted from somewhere else. Um, and so that's why, Jarvis is perfect, is because it does creative storytelling, and it does it fast. So I was able to kind of say, hey, Jarvis, write out the story of how Netflix got started and like the founder story. So then, of course, I go and, check, make sure it's factually correct and all of those things. I might want to do any creative editing there. But you move so much faster. I would say roughly like 5 times faster than me going out researching and trying to write a story out of my own brain. This kind of gets it on paper fast because I'm much better at editing than I am starting from scratch. I don't know about you, but I think a lot of people are like that as well.
Yeah, and that was something that like I realized once I wrote like the first book and like understood how to use Jarvis in this kind of context, was like, look, you're most of the time spent on your book is going to be spent in the editing process, whether it's you or whether it's another editor that you're working with. You're going to be revising this stuff, right? And so just getting this first part out and understanding the format for how to get it out, and not being perfect, just get the process moving. And like this is just best practices that I've learned from best-selling authors on why these things are structured. And like, again, like Austin, when we were writing your book, like this is what we discovered was like, oh, why do all of these books start with a hook? Well, it's because you need to suck somebody into your story, into why they should read this, give them a shocking fact. It was like, what if it's like, 90% of people that start selling on Amazon fail in the first year. It's like, okay, that's an interesting fact, right? And then if that's something that you already know, like, I don't want to lean on Jarvis for giving me a shocking fact. I might do it for shock value and then like fact check the stuff. But if you're an expert, you should know the things that are going to surprise your reader. You should know the things that are going to hook people in and get the attention, and then brainstorm with Jarvis along the way. But this next part is, this book is for you, right? Like, and so
Hey,
that's why I
Darby,
put,
real
yeah.
quick. Rebecca was asking, how do you like include tone of voice or language or mood into your content?
So what I find is either adding it in over here, which I didn't really add as much like a tone of voice, like per se, but I know. So when we're looking at power mode, right? You've got this tone of voice over here. This is where you can kind of direct Jarvis and say like, "Hey, I want you to be." Um, you want Jarvis to reference a tone like that he'll recognize, like witty is an example, confidence, secure. Like I think there's a list inside of the you have a list or like a Notion doc or something, Austin, of tones of voices that you can have. But what we find is that you can actually have Jarvis. Um, Jarvis will pick up on like celebrities and tones of voice that have a lot of content on the internet circa like the 2019 when it was downloading a lot of the content specifically. So you can drive the tone of voice inside of the commands. Um, writing a paragraph about who this book is for, um, you know, in the tone of voice of Morgan Freeman, right? And again, play around with it because it might not necessarily give you what you like, but like think about the tone of voice um, of like a celebrity that would um, speak to your target audience, right? If you're speaking to a demographic that like listens to Joe Rogan, maybe use the Joe Rogan as kind of a voice and a direction. Can add it in over here to even give it more clarity. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come back here. And
Yeah,
again,
I
this
mean,
is
think
all
about
just,
your own tone of voice, your own brand. There's
yeah,
different.
not Morgan
Yeah,
Freeman, by the way.
what's the way that you approach the world? I love like, there are certain brands that have like an edgy feel, but how do you get all of your content writers on that same edgy tone of voice? Well, it makes it easier if you use Jarvis tones of voices, and especially it's true if this is a client of yours, that you're trying to write for on behalf. You got to use tone of voices that match the tone of voice of the brand. It could be a celebrity tone of voice,
Mhm,
or it could be just like a witty or funny, or suspenseful or sarcastic. All of these are
mhm.
like it knows all the tones of voices. It understands what that means. So you can just kind of write to it, say, Jarvis, write sarcastically.
Let's just play around with that, right? Like you say, like write an introduction for this book in a sarcastic tone of voice. See, it's writing an introduction here, and take it up to you. It's like, is this a sarcastic enough tone of voice? Is it not? And you'll notice I'm not diving in even as much and modifying and tweaking these as I'm kind of going because we're like going through this example by section. But when you find that like Jarvis will get you a certain percentage of the way, and then you can carry on that thought, or finally, this book has been designed as a reference point after each chapter. So you have something to help keep your thoughts in order and, selling more stuff online. And so what we took this initially from was like, who is this book for? This book is absolutely essential for, and it's digging into it still because it's taking that
Mm.
command of this book is for people that want to have an easy way to start selling on Amazon. 2, entrepreneurs who want to leverage the platform. 3, anyone like this, right? Like you could give it this direction, but like Jarvis is giving me like pretty on the spot ideas for who this book would be targeting simply based off of the creative brief that I am giving it here. And while we're doing a lot of this work in boss mode, having power mode is like one of my favorite things here because you can take the idea that you want and now instead of just like boss mode, okay, let me try it again, or maybe like let me try different iterations of it. You can just hop over here and type in like literally what we already gave it, right? Amazon, the title company.
And what he's talking about with power mode is there's 50 templates that we've trained Jarvis on that are very specific, and they create a really good outcome for that purpose. So this is the AIDA framework. It's an old school copywriting framework that stands for awareness, interest, desire, and action. And so it's been taught how to create a great result, what good behavior looks like here, and we're asking it to create right now 4 outputs that are in an energetic feel around our brand and the structure of AIDA. And so that's what it's working on right now. And so on the left-hand side, you can see 50 different templates, everything from Facebook ads, Google headlines, video descriptions, etc. And so AIDA is really good for what Darby's trying right now.
Yeah. And when I wrote the first book, right, like I used a lot of AIDA in it because like a lot of each chapter introduction is an attention grabber. Do you want to learn how to sell more products on Amazon? Cool. Get someone in this book. Like, and this again is selling the description of the book and what like the book is going to be about. And so it's giving me that this book is it's taking a lot of what I already wrote up there, but you'll learn everything from research, listing optimization, inventory management, customer reviews, action. Do this right now and get your copy of how to sell more products on Amazon today. Right. So, and again, it's like brainstorm instead of just asking boss mode to do it. And you're saying, hey, I want to get like a few different angles and different perspectives here right in one gate, knowing that I already want this format, just hop on over to power mode, snag one that you like, and then jump back into boss mode, paste it, and continue on with the rest of your topic. And so, again, like, sorry.
I wanted to highlight here, Skip. Skip had a really great response here in the chat that I think everybody would get value from. So people are asking like, how does Grammarly get in here? It's just a Chrome extension. It just reads all of the words on the page and it works really well. And people have also asked, is Jarvis bringing up plagiarized content or unique content? And as you can see here, Skip was saying that it's 99 to 100% unique content. And that's because the way that Jarvis thinks is it's not pulling from any one specific source. Rather, it's read about 10% of the public internet and is gathering all of the sources and coming up with your specific sentence, word by word, creating new, unique content. And so that's how it thinks. And that's why it's 99 to 100% unique.
Absolutely. I want to kind of run through the rest of this intro part and get to the outline a little bit to show you how I brainstorm outline ideas. There's other tools out there. There's research you can do again to have an idea of like, what do I need to be saying? Amazon as a free one is a great example. Go and look at the books that are on similar topics to you on Amazon, see what people are already outlining, right? Ask Google. There's a lot there. But if you want to brainstorm with Jarvis, we can do that as well. To get there, again, we want to identify who this book is for. We want people to raise their hand inside of this intro so that they know they're in the right place. You want to address the skepticism that's out there, right? This introduction should handle the objections, right? And you can use Jarvis, you can use your own expertise and experience to understand what would a skeptical person say, about selling on Amazon. And I'm just like, oh, maybe there's an angle here. I'm really stuck, sellers from the smallest market less to compete. Jarvis is giving me ideas here, right? And if I'm going through this and I'm using, again, like the rapid process that we go through is like, get the words out and let's trim it up kind of as we go down later, right?
Hey, Darby, can you showcase how you could explain it like a 5th grader?
Yep.
Yeah. So this is, we all know that complicated subjects should be kind of dumbed down. And so we've actually included that right within Jarvis. If you highlight some text, you can explain it to a 5th grader, and it will use 5th grade language, synonyms and things like that are more easy for any audience to read. And it doesn't mean that it's dumbing down your subject. It means it's simplifying the way that you've explained it.
Yeah. So like it just took my long elaborated sentence here and said, Amazon Academy is a course about selling products on Amazon. Cool. Straight to the point. It teaches you how to use the Amazon platform, use other channels offline to sell more goods, right? A condensed version, simplified, and seems to get the point across pretty well. But you can also use this try again method or the just click try again, and it'll just kind of brainstorm and keep things going with Jarvis and get it down to that point where, it's readable, It's to the point. It's not missing anything. Like that. I'm going to continue moving on down here to the other section in this. And like, I guess the point of this training, boss mode along with books, this being nonfiction books, like do not skip over the introduction with these nonfiction books, because if you can't sell somebody on reading the rest of your book and spending all the time on your outline and all the knowledge and the stuff that you're going to share there, because you skip over the introduction, if no one reads it, then like, what's the point, right? So you want to illustrate how this book is different, right? Like, what are 3 ways that this book is different? Again, just brainstorm with Jarvis. The book is different than any book out there. Here are some tips. Now, Jarvis is just on the ball with this and the rapid ideation of these things, right? I was like, oh yeah, it actually is a one-stop shop for Amazon marketing. Now I'm getting ideas for how I can use this later. It's focused, insensitive, and to the point. Not only it's a powerful book, great. Like if I want to keep it going, and because I give me a list of ways that it's different, I can keep asking Jarvis to give me more and more ideas. And again, how this book is different is going to help sell people on why, oh, okay, this book is different. Then you want to ask, how should I read this book, right? And so if you're asking Jarvis, how should I read this book? Each chapter, then implement the tactics it teaches. You'll find a way to make for sales. Like, okay, cool. If I'm reading this, I understand how I'm supposed to be reading it. Tip is just give them the direction of what to do. Now, here is where you want to talk more about your story, right? You want to sell the person on the opportunity that they're reading this book. Is this the right opportunity for them, this book? You should tell them why they should believe in you. Are you the right person to be teaching this? Are you the author? You want to believe in themselves and have full confidence and clarity that they're on the right path. Is this the right time for them? Is this the right book for that right now? And, I think, Austin, you said this, if not this, then what? If not you, then who? If not now, then when, right? Coming out of that summary of like, this is for you, let's rock and roll. Now we can just, once that's out of the way, and like, again, if we get this like initial framework, we can come back to, we can massage it, we can build on top of it. If we want to write an outline based on, the content brief, now we can just talk with Jarvis and say like, what does an outline of this book look like? And a lot of the times when people get stuck with writing a book is because it's stuck on like, I don't know the different steps that might be in my outline. I don't know what all the different, points of it are. But, if I want to write a 6-chapter book, the Amazon marketplace, selling products on Amazon, how to sell more products on Amazon, how to leverage Amazon. You're getting stuck in your Amazon business. Reference points for where you get stuck, in conclusion, right? This book could be the tactical handbook that people use to really just get themselves up, running, and selling products effectively on Amazon. If that's what your reader is looking for, that could be an entire book, or it could be a section of your book, and then you could build that into it, right? So you can kind of rinse and repeat this outlining process, shift things around where you're at. But like here, we're talking about the Amazon marketplace and diving into chapter 1. Why is it important to solve this problem? I might start this off with, what problem are we solving based on the concept of readers? And this could also be a prompt for you to then start working with Jarvis, right? It's like the world is shifting now online faster more than ever because of 2020. We jumped 10 years ahead in, the online e-commerce economy, right? And then you essentially, like, each of your chapters is going to run in this kind of flow if you're following this format. It's, started out with the story of how you learned it or how you earned this information. Did you pay for a coach to teach it to you? Did you learn it yourself by actually applying this? What's a story about how you did that? Do you have a backstory? Like in my case, I would write a backstory on like, this is how I got started selling on Amazon in 2017. This is what I learned. Ask Jarvis, write an intro paragraph based on what I just said, and have a few different subsections in each chapter. And I'd recommend at least like 3 that just are kind of like bullet points. And it's kind of like, creating a really solid blog post. And there's a few really great blog post recipes out there right now that you can download into your account. And like, you can plug and play some of those into here. And each chapter, based on what your outline is, write me an outline of like the history of the Amazon marketplace. And then Jarvis can help you kind of chop up that outline. History of the problem. What's the history of selling on Amazon? Where do they start right now? And you kind of follow this process like rinse and repeating it, but each chapter should be self-contained to where it's introduction, open up with a story, introduce the ideas that you're going to be talking about in the chapter, talk about the different sections, expand on the topics of each section, and then conclude it right here with just a paragraph and maybe add some action steps for people to take so that they can go and implement what you did. And this is where you as the expert need to help, either working with Jarvis or working, just guiding Jarvis after you write some prompts for it. You can make a lot of progress really, really quickly once you're really clear on that outline. And then at the end of the day, you run through your outline, you conclude your book once you've covered everything you need to say. And some people ask, like, I just have so much to say, right? Like, trim it down, right? Like, what is valuable to the reader? Do they need fluff in a chapter? Probably not. People want to get straight to the point. They want the information they can apply, and they want to go apply it. Summarize what you talked about in the book. Talk a little bit about what the journey that you just went through, and the next steps. Thank the reader and write a call to action for the next step that you want. Maybe it's actually buying your course that can help do it. Maybe it's applying for your coaching program. Maybe it's joining your free community for people to join and learn more and connect with other people that are on whatever journey that you're involved in, right? And especially if you're selling your book on Amazon along with your own site, if people buy your book on Amazon, they're not necessarily they're not directly your customer. But if you do your job in the introduction, if you invite people into your ecosystem, you give them resources, you give them a lot of value, they'll come, they'll find you, they'll start building that relationship with you, and you'll be growing your authority, your credibility, your influence in the space as a credible published author with Jarvis and Boss Mode.
Hey man, this is awesome. For those that want to use this recipe, can you show them how that they can go to jarvis.ai/book recipe and then it'll save into their account? So this is like the newest feature. We launched it like this past week. So you are now able to create these repeatable set of instructions. And Darby has made this for you all, and you can save them. So if you click on that save button,
Yep.
and then it'll import right there into your account. If you don't have an account yet, when you can either go to the free trial link that is in the chat, or if you just go back to that recipe, Darby, in the top right, click on dashboard, and then you'll click get started. So that's how you can then go and save. Since you're already logged in, it's just taking your dashboard.
Mm-hmm.
But for those that are not yet on Jarvis, which most of the time these calls are all Jarvis customers, but they'll be able to save it there.
Yeah.
Now, we covered a lot already. People have a lot to take home. You've given them the farm on how to use your template, and this recipe will get them so far ahead. Yet there might still be some unanswered questions and support that they want. And so there's actually a 7-day challenge that a bunch of people are in the Jarvis community that are going through that I wanted to share here as well. And I've gone through it. There are many others. I know you said over 100 people have gone through this challenge, and where you support them along with Zachariah, and you've brought in all these other experts as well. So could you just kind of talk about the challenge and how it can help people?
Yeah, absolutely. The challenge, like Austin said, we've had well over 100 people now go through the live challenge with us and help us coach them. The point of the challenge is to take the noise and cut the noise out, focus on what the result that we're going to be focusing on directly, and working with you side by side using information gained from best-selling authors. We run weekly challenges every single month where we actually coach live, have live coaching calls, training calls with Jarvis, and we help people implement what is going on inside of the challenge. Now, this is like the detail page that you can find out more about it. I think Austin has a link for it specifically where you guys can go and check it out and decide whether it's something you want to join or not. But what we've done over the past several months is we've brought in authors, especially using Zachariah's network. Like I said, he's helped people publish over 70,000 books at his company alone in the publishing space, extremely knowledgeable there. And we've brought in best-selling authors, marketers who've launched their own books and other people's books to the USA Today, Wall Street Journal, New York Times bestsellers list. We have coaches who have literally $4 billion plus dollars in sales attributed to them. And a lot of that because of the leverage that they've created with their book, how they've landed clients with it, the process that they use inside of it. And we break all of this down to essentially cover every aspect of what you need to know right now to get your book out of your head and get your book published. And we teach it to you in a way that is broken up in the same format that we had initially written down inside of our book, the Published with Jarvis book, for how to actually go and do this process on a day-by-day framework. Now, the thing with the challenge is everyone can do the challenge on your own time. But just like I know there's a lot of you out there who are investing in software and coaching and training and partnerships and mentors, is how long do you want learning a process and implementing a process to take? Is it worth you investing your time, your money, and your energy into accelerating the result that you want? In this case, it's becoming a published author. How can we help get you there faster than ever? What we find is it's the accountability. It's the coaching on the spot. It's the walking with you and identifying the problems that are holding you back right now from where you want to be, and breaking through those barriers so that you can get back to writing your book and getting published, so that, you can start to sell it, so that you can start to make money from it, so that you can lead people into your business, and so that you can leverage your knowledge in a way that can reach an unlimited amount of people in today's day and age. And getting people to that point is the number one thing we focus on in the challenge. It's a no fluff challenge. This isn't some free 5-day like rah, let's rock and roll with it. This is intense. I really don't recommend anybody dive in and take this challenge without at least a week or two of preparation, of going through the content, going through the worksheets, like understanding the material, and then applying it during the 7-day challenge, right? If you want to learn how this process works, YouTube's a great resource for a lot of things. The library is a great resource to learn a lot of things. If you want to implement this process and you want coaches and Jarvis certified experts who we bring in as well to train, and best-selling authors and marketers at your fingertips, this challenge is then for you. And it might not be the right time for you to write a book, and that's totally cool too. Spend some time getting used to Jarvis. Play around with boss mode. Think about what your book idea is. When you're clear on it and you're ready to finally take action, we're going to be here. We're going to continue to do these live challenges. We have a growing community where it's ongoing support beyond just the 7-day challenge. The 7-day challenge is a framework, but it's a methodology, and it's at the end of the day, it's a lifestyle when it goes down to it. Because if you can do a book over a 7-day period, imagine what else you can accomplish with that level of discipline. And that's what the 7-day book challenge is all about.
Yeah, I know some common questions, and we can bring up the chat here if they have any. But yeah, so some of the questions that were in my head when I was writing my book were like, what are the characteristics of a cover that gets picked up off the shelf or purchased, added to cart on Amazon? And so you guys you have a strategy there around not only like what your book cover should contain, but also giving you the contractors that will do all the graphic design. I think that's pretty cool that you've like brought in these other experts. Another person that, maybe you're, for me, I'm a little too busy right now to go and like constantly do editing, and I'm not the best grammarist, right? Like I don't know how to properly structure my sentences and do like citing resources properly and all of that. And so you've brought in like all of these like expert editors. And so that's a pretty great addition. I know for like storytelling, you've brought in some of these experts about how to do storytelling. So it's all pretty cool. There's different dates. How many dates do you all have to do this?
The dates that we have set right now, we don't have anything set in December because it's we just might make one break out of the year from doing these 7-day sprints, because like I said, it's intense and I put a lot of my time and energy into it. So it's very active and very involved. But the next one starts on August 9th. We start on a Monday, August 9th, and we end on the following Monday. We meet at noon, noon Central Time, noon to 1. as of right now. We're looking into adding some more like pods of just like co-working, virtual co-working, where people just get in, show up at a time, and just get to work. August 9th. The next one's September 13th. The next one after that is October 11th. And then the last one that's officially scheduled right now is November 15th. And like I said, guys, if you are going to wait till August 8th to sign up, you're more than welcome to, but you're not going to get the full experience, and you're going to be doing a disservice to yourself and not giving yourself the prep time to show up, because the last thing you want is a bunch of content to overwhelm you that's going to hold you back from writing, right? So if you're thinking about writing a book in the August 9th challenge, I would sign up today, because now you're going to have some time to go through, going to be able to introduce yourself to myself and Zachariah. And if maybe August isn't going to work for you because you won't have time to show up on the calls, the membership is still open, so people can hop in, they can join us, and we join this community of authors that is growing, that is leveraging artificial intelligence to move it forward. And, quite frankly, like our first video alone from Matthew Thrush is worth its weight in gold, to just teach you on getting the process started. Sign up a few weeks in advance at least. My goal is to knock your socks off when you come to the lives, and we just deliver insane value to you. And
which
what
is
you're
why
getting,
I brought you on, man. Cause like
yeah.
I've actually seen so many raving reviews from the customers, and it's not something like as Jarvis, the software company, like we don't have the ability to go and like hold everyone's hand to write a book. And so that's why I wanted to recommend you, man. You've just been able to figure out how to use this tool in a way that helps authors or soon to be authors get the idea out of their head and leave the blank page and publish on Amazon in 7 days. It's
Yeah.
wild.
And that's one thing I do want to touch on as well on that point, Austin, is what we learned over the past 6-7 months of doing this challenge was that the challenge doesn't stop after 7 days. Like there's ongoing support that's needed that we, just starting this thing a few months ago, we've learned over time. So we're adding in ongoing monthly support, additional weekly calls beyond just the challenge sprint days, right? But we put that container in those 7 days. This is when the sprint happens. After the fact, where can we help you along the way? How can we give you the support that you need? And how can we get the best people in the industry to help you where it might not be your expertise? You might not be a cover designer. You might not be an editor. And how do we connect you with that and help push you along the lines in your goals of becoming that published author?
Yep, that's awesome, guys. Well, if you want to go and check out what Darby has been able to do with the 7-day challenge, and join their 7-day challenge, how much is it? It's like $97, right?
Yeah, right now it's $97 a month membership. This is going to be kind of for our founding members. We've had, like I said, a lot of people go through it over the past few months. And the reason we have it as a membership, again, is for the monthly support in the growing community and providing with you the services beyond just getting the manuscript out there and written. It's the price will continue to go up as time goes on, but for right now, we're so excited with using Boss Mode and Jarvis and just the awesome community that we have here that we wanted to make it affordable for everyone to at least come in, right? If you get everything out of the challenge in the first month and you feel like that you don't need anything more beyond it, you've gotten all the trainings, the recordings, you got your book written, that's great. Like no worries, just like cancel. It's not a problem. But if you want to continue the conversation with us and you want the coaching, the support, the accountability.
Yeah. So even if the hours are not great, right? Like you do it every day at noon,
yeah,
right? And that's
noon.
Central time.
Central Standard Time. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's people from all around the world. We have 140 people right now watching live. So I'm guessing they're not all in Central. If it doesn't work out for you to watch the live, I'm sure that there's training recordings, right?
Yeah. It's all recordings. And if we will add in more live times as the challenge continues to grow to help support the people that are, in the different time zones. Probably a later time, later in the afternoon, around 4 or 5 is going to be coming up pretty soon. Just have that, again, that extra support. We're building this to support you guys, right? And $100 a month, at the end of the day, to get access to this, if you get all of it in 1 month, that's great. And that's awesome. But it's my goal to support you and to help get you guys to the point where we can start selling your book, because that's when it gets really fun. And that's where we can really, continue to add on a lot of training that we have, but we literally omit it from the challenge because it's a distraction from getting your book sold, right? You think about it, but no, we're all about writing that book and getting it out of your head. for this
I love it,
challenge.
man.
Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up here, we can talk about final thoughts. Any other questions, you can post them in the chat here. I just want to say, in 7 days, from now, you could have a book on the Amazon shelves, and 2 days later, if you're a Prime member, have it shipped to your house. That's pretty cool. And if you want that, you got to put in the hard work. It's not like easy street here publishing a book, but with Jarvis, it'll be 5 times faster. So rather than doing it, all day, every day for 5 weeks, you can do it in 5 days. And that's pretty exciting. So I would recommend, putting in how many hours a day do you think it'll take over the 7 days?
I try to block up at least 3 really hardcore focused hours of writing, right? Now, if you're gonna be learning and watching and doing the videos and stuff, like, that's gonna impede on your time writing. But, I mean, just getting a solid block of 3 hours a day, into this with Jarvis, once the pre-work and the outline and everything is set up, you'll be surprised how much you can accomplish in that time.
Exactly, man. So if there's any other questions here, you can continue posting them in the chat. Make sure to tag at Darby Rollins, and he'll be able to answer any questions about the challenge. If you have any questions about Jarvis, you can tag me or anybody else on the team. We'll try and get to it along with the community. With that, go over to jarvis.ai/7-day challenge to join that. If you haven't already, I would recommend also downloading this free resource, the book recipe.
Mhm.
This is what the main part of the training was how to use Jarvis commands in a row in this recipe to help you write out your book. And so, yeah, if you guys want support, go to the challenge. If you want to figure it out on your own, do the book recipe. And if you have any more questions, tag us. Thank you so much for showing up live. If you were here today, it means a lot. And with that, we'll see you on the inside.